Um, Sorry, we're recording. Um, so I'm going to just start us off with a little bit of housekeeping. Let me share my screen here. Give me just one moment. All right. So just so you know, this is HIV is not a crime awareness day today. And this is our webinar from courtroom to conference to community. So welcome everyone. So navigating Zoom, we do have live interpretation available in Spanish. We have Livia who is helping us out with that. So thank you, Livia, for providing our language justice for us tonight. If you would like to comment or question, please use the chat. We're recording, and this will be uploaded to our YouTube channel as soon as we have that available. And then also, we just ask that you remain on mute when you're not speaking. And then just a little heads up, we do have a bravery statement today because we are dealing with some very um, important subjects that could be triggering. So I'll just read our bravery statement. So before we begin our conversation, it is important that we acknowledge that the subject matter discussed may contain sensitive subjects for our panelists and for some of us, including sexual assault, prosecution based on HIV status, and other forms of violence. These are difficult conversations, and this is a space that honors the respect to every individual life experience and right to both privacy and non-participation in any part of our discussion. This is a safe and brave space. And then our legal and medical disclaimer. Just understand that in our discussion tonight, we want to be clear that no information shared is to be considered legal or medical advice. We are not attorneys or clinicians. If you are experiencing the threat of criminalization or have questions about the epidemiology of HIV, we can connect you to your local community experts and resources. So just let us know if you would like to do that, and we will get you connected as quickly as possible. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to our wonderful moderator, Miss Tana Pradia.
Hello, everyone in Zoom land. I am Tana Pradia, she, her, hers, the moderator for this evening's fabulous event. I live in Houston, Texas. So why are we doing this tonight? So we're doing this. We're having this conversation to discuss HIV criminalization and what it takes to reform and overcome. And I'm going to repeat, reform and overcome criminalization. So as we get started tonight, I am going to pause this. We have a special report coming up right now.
Hi, everyone. Little costume change here. My name is Pfleider. I'll be your special reporter today. We're going to go live on location to Idaho. We have Mr. Senator Rugty joining us, and he has a special message for you.
On the issues, build relationships.
Just kidding.
HIV is not a crime awareness day. It's great to have Kevin Lish here with us. This is one of the most important things you can do is come to the Capitol, meet legislators, educate them on the issues, build relationships with them. It's the first and most important step because it lays the foundation for every other conversation you want to have. And we're glad that Kevin is working so hard here in Idaho to make that happen. Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, James.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, James. We really appreciate you doing the work there in Idaho. And I will turn it back over to Miss Tana.
Thank you, Eric. So as we get started, you all, we have some amazing, amazing panelists tonight. And I will start off with Lashanda. Can you introduce yourself to everyone, please? You're on mute.
Sorry about that. I'm Lashanda Salinas. I'm an advocate for Tennessee. I am with the Tennessee HIV Modernization Coalition, also with the Elizabeth Taylor AIDS Foundation Council of Justice, and also from Health Not Prison. I use she and her pronouns.
Thank you, Lashanda. Sanjay, would you like to introduce yourself?
Is he there?
Sanjay? There he is.
I'm here. I am Sanjay Johnson. I am also part of the Elizabeth Taylor AIDS Foundation Council of Justice Leaders. And I don't know what else to say. I use my pronouns as he, him, and Beyonce.
Thank you all for that fabulous introduction. So as we get into this panel discussion, the panel was not thrown together, y'all. It was not. It was not by chance in recognizing not just HIV is not a crime awareness day, but prioritizing and the representation of the impact of criminalization and the meaningful involvement of people living with HIV. We want to have a discussion that gives space for those meaningful involvement impacted by the laws and those that were impacted in having laws in their state changed to be able to shed light on speaking truth, power, when systems are designed to keep you silent. And let me say this again, when systems are designed to keep us quiet. So the first question, Lashanda, I'm going to come to you first. We know that HIV criminalization impacts communities in really enormous and harmful ways. The punishment of someone's health, status, and activities that are not a pathway to transmission is incredibly stigmatizing before your experience through the court systems. Did HIV stigma ever impact your life?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you like to collaborate a little bit on that?
Yes, ma'am. I live in a small town, and once everyone found out that I was HIV positive, I lost my friends. People didn't want to be around me anymore because they thought that if they touched me or eat after me or drink after me, they was gonna become HIV positive. But with the support of my family, my church family, and especially my mother, I was able to get through all of this stigma.
Thank you for that, Lashanda. Sanjay, next question. Can you briefly describe to us what life with HIV was like before your experience in the court system? What challenges with disclosure did you face?
Well, before my court case in 2017, that was very public. I was living in, I would say, complete fear. Even though I was dealing with the stigma, I was stigmatized, stalled, far as just being free and okay with my status. I never got counseling regarded on it. I knew I wasn't going to die. I was educated on that part, medically. It's just the mental part. That's the main thing I think that most people deal with, because we know now that you can live now with HIV and also prevent with certain medications now. But it's the actual mental stigma that is the worst thing that can, still hover over someone, whether you are on treatment or not, or don't know your status, basically, because it stalls you from getting help or to actually, help medically or mentally, and also just to move forward in life and be free, internally regarding. So being around you guys and who I call my second family has helped me to be more vocal, because back then I wasn't vocal at all. At all. Of course, I told a few friends, brothers, people that were close to me that I felt safe with. But now I'm becoming more vocal and safer, but still deal with some stigma internally. But I'm still pressing forward and still.
Thank you for that. Lashanda, I'm going to come back to you. I have another question for you. So if you are comfortable, tell us about your experience and what kind of support did you have during the process? You're on mute.
I had my family as support and, my mom. And because of my mom, I was able to, step out and be seen and be heard. And if it hadn't have been for them and my church family and my family, I probably wouldn't be here right now. You're on mute.
Thank you. Sanjay, tell us about your experience. If you are comfortable, tell us about your experience and what kind of support did you have during the process?
Ooh, my experience, of course, awful. Is anyone that has gone through this is not good at all. So that is that right there. But my experience for it is support. I say this every time someone asks me this question. It is true that y'all have been an extreme backbone and a megaphone, to be exact, because I didn't have resources or networks like this, like the Sero project. I didn't know anything about this until I became connected with Robert Sutter, who is the chair of the organization I'm under. And him having the network with Cindy and then Tammy and then Kamar, it's over the years, it became like a huge megaphone and support. So that is something that was very detrimental to my, I would say, development even now still. It's very, very important. So the experience with support has been just, I would say, God-given.
Thank you for that. And don't go on mute, because I'm going to go ahead and give you this last question I have for you. So why is it important for you to continue to advocate for the laws in Arkansas to change?
Well, one, I'm free. I was facing prison time for 30 years. And I'm alive, because during that time I was very depressed. Unfortunately, I was suicidal. And, just going through those emotions for nearly 2 years. And then just after the fact, I was still suffering, not just emotionally, but mentally as well, to where I did get help. I did get counseling, therapy, amongst other things I was dealing with outside, my court case. but it's a I am free, so that's why I'm glad I'm staying connected with Sandy and people like Robert, even Eric. Now I'm being more connected with him just to see what else that I can do, and being connected with people here in Arkansas that you may not know or see, because even though I may not be like you guys that's in these that's working full time. I'm just working 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day at a bank. So I don't have the time like you guys to invest and talk to these leaders and do grants and different things that matter. But I'm still staying motivated and inspired to still stay connected to see what I can offer still.
Thank you for that. So Lashanda, I'm gonna come back to you for our last question. Why is it important for you to be a part of a coalition and advocate for change?
It's important to me to be part of a coalition and advocate for, not only myself, but for the people before me and after me. These laws need to be changed because, this affects many people's lives. With this law, I just want my life back. I want to live a normal life just like everybody else, but I can't do that because this is on my back and I can't get it off. If we change these laws, that would be a burden off of me.
Thank you for that. I want to say, I really, it is an honor to be moderating this conversation with the two of you. And I want to ask you, what do you think that we as advocates across the country could do just to help to bring more awareness to this issue?
I think for me, partner with some of these organizations like Health Not Prison or the Tennessee HIV Modernization Coalition, and just help support us and be there for us. Because, going and fighting through this, it's emotional. It's draining. But, with me, I'm exhausted, but I keep fighting.
Thank you for that. So this was very good. I thank the both of you, Lashanda and Sanjay. I really appreciate your honesty, but also your bravery, because bravery, you are educating me. So thank you so much. And I will pass this. We have another special report. You're on mute, Eric.
Sorry, Tana, we're having some difficulties with our next special report. So we're going to go ahead and forgo that one. So we'll start on our second panel from conference to community. Thank you.
So as we get started with our second panel, it is from the conference to community. And I want to have Timothy, can you come off mute and introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Timothy Jackson, pronouns he, him, and his. Director of Government Relations for AIDS Foundation Chicago, based out of Chicago, obviously. But more importantly than that, I'm a person living with HIV. And so I get the great privilege to advocate on behalf of people living with and vulnerable to HIV here in the state of Illinois. Prior to moving to Illinois in 2020, I was the proud board chairman for Thrive Alabama, an AIDS service organization in Huntsville, providing care to people living with HIV across North Alabama. And so I am really, really happy to be here. And in my work at AFC, was proud to be the lead lobbyist to pass legislation to decriminalize HIV here in Illinois back in 2021. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Timothy. And next we have Deirdre, the fabulous Deirdre. Would you come off mute and introduce yourself?
Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome. I am so excited to share with you. I am Deirdre Speaks Johnson, she, her, and if you get the pleasure, barbecue, beautiful Black Queen. I am the National Program and Strategic Planning Manager for Sero Project, as also, and am also, get them words out, the co-founder of Ending Criminalization of HIV and Over-Incarceration in the best state in the whole wide world that you all are coming to visit us in June for HIV is Not a Crime Training Academy in Virginia, because Virginia is for lovers. So excited. Thank you, Sanjay and Lashanda, for the amazing, amazing panel before us. Tim, I don't know how, Timothy, I don't know how we're going to do it. We're going to try it, but welcome everyone. And we're excited to be here with you.
Thank you so much. So, Timothy, I'm going to start this off with you with this first question.
Yes.
Congratulations, Timothy, on being a part of the coalition that reached repeal.
Yeah.
This is what other states strive for.
Yeah.
What strategies should coalitions and advocates consider for repeal?
Yeah,
To be a possibility in their state.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for this question. And I just kind of want to echo those sentiments that Deirdre mentioned moments ago. Yeah, in Illinois, I will tell you, proud to be a part of the Illinois HIV Action Alliance, a coalition of advocates, people living with HIV, community organizations, really working since the HIV is Not a Crime Conference 3, I believe, in Indianapolis. Really got together from that conference and came back home and really began work to work on this bill that completely repealed the state's law criminalizing people living with HIV. One of the main strategies I tell people all the time as I talk about this issue is, how can we center people living with HIV, people impacted by this law, in this work? And so, yes, we can have a lot of national and regional organizations come in and they're passionate about it, and that's great. However, we need to make sure that the people that are most impacted by these laws are sitting at the tables, are the ones that are testifying, are the ones that are really, because ultimately, when this bill is passed or not passed or whatever you're working on, the people living with HIV, the people that are impacted by these laws, they're the ones that are having to carry this. As was just mentioned, you're shouldering the brunt of these laws. And so we need to make sure that we're doing that in our coalitions, making sure that we're constantly looking at who's not sitting at this table. Yes, we passed the law here in Illinois, but I will be the first one to tell you that our coalition was not the way that I would prefer it to be. And so how do we, although we've passed the law, we're still doing community education. Again, how do we bring more people in to talk about this important issue?
Thank you, Timothy. So next, Deirdre, I have a question for you. So congratulations on adding Virginia to the list of states that it is now more difficult to criminalize HIV. Can you describe what the law changed and what concerns you have for any next stages of extended reform?
Thank you. And What's so interesting is yesterday was the 2-year anniversary of the signing of our bill into law. And it is exciting. It is nerve-wracking because we're still working on stuff. We have some things that are going on in our Virginia General Assembly right now that is threatening one of the pieces that we did bring forward. And that was to remove, and this is a part where we modernized and repealed at the same time, I guess you could say, if anyone in Virginia is ever criminalized or justice involved for anything sex work related or drugs, it was created a mandated space that you would have to have an HIV test done. And the one thing that we took away from that was that if you are arrested or charged with that, you no longer have to be mandated to take that HIV test. Those were one of the things. Another was we removed disclosure. We know that there are several things that HIV criminalization does. And one of those things is that it doesn't work. It doesn't work in alignment with public health. And we've recognized that people, if they know their HIV status, then, if they don't know their HIV status, then they feel safe that they won't be criminalized. But if they know their HIV status, then they have a fear of being criminalized. So we took that away. And the other piece that we're also currently trying to work on, I know Timothy will definitely talk about some pieces where just with the political reality, and we know right now is not the best of times, not the best of times to even start to approach some of those things because of the leaderships that we have in place, both in our local and state government, and as well as even some of our health professionals as well. So those were a few. The part that I always I still can't sleep at night because I always wonder, did we do enough? Is there more to do? How can we continue, just like Timothy said, to bring more people to the table? Did we forget somebody? Did we not forget somebody? Or did we even unintentionally cause any undue harm to any one single person? So those are a few things that keep me up at night. And then, of course, excitement because everyone's coming to Virginia for HINAC, for HIV is not a crime, 5. And so, but even that, making sure that you all get the full experience of Virginia and also get the full experience of the training academy. And like Illinois, we had the same thing. We met in Indianapolis, and that's where we were creating. We hope other states have this opportunity to either take their coalitions to the next level or even just begin to form them.
Yes, most definitely. So Timothy, next question for you. Thank you for that fabulous response, Deirdre. So the legislative work is what you do for a living. So it isn't something you just turned off when the laws changed in your state. What did you do or have you done for self-care to be able to keep up showing up with your bad self?
You would say self-care. What's that? And that's being completely honest. You are correct. This is what I do for a living, and I am in the middle right now of working on 7 policy priorities for AIDS Foundation Chicago. So the work continues at least until May 19th, which is the last day of session. Self-care for me, I'm going to be completely honest with you, and I have been very transparent about this. In 2021, when we passed this bill, we got the bill signed by Governor Pritzker on July 27th. I do not remember it. And I actually spoke that day. Don't remember it because I was exhausted. I don't remember much of the summer of 2021. I didn't really come into my own and became Tim again until really like the beginning part of October. Because I was absolutely exhausted in working on this bill. I will tell you, that's not what you're supposed to do. Would I change anything? Probably not, because I got the desired effect. But ultimately, I want you all to take time for yourself. Something that I say now more than ever, take time for yourself. I think Sanjay said earlier about, they talked about being safe and kind of the staying connected and don't really have the time to do all of the different things. And that's fine. That's absolutely fine. If you can only take 30 minutes out of your day to do this work, then we will take that 30 minutes. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself. That's most important. and so that's what I share a lot of times with advocates, that we get so caught up and so passionate about this work because it's so important. But I remember my mom always telling me, you can't pour into the lives of others if your cup is empty. And so what that looks like is taking time for yourself. If that means that you can't go to this year's AIDS Watch, well, guess what? That's okay. You can go to next year's. Take some time for yourself. If that means that you just, sit out maybe this session and don't do as much, then that's okay. And so because again, that's the reason why it's so important to build this network, this community of other advocates doing the work. So when you're taking a break that you need, somebody else can pick up the slack. And so that's the reason why it's so important that we're constantly bringing people in, and leaning on people, as I see in the chat, leaning on those who support you. Absolutely. And I will let me add this.
Go
and
ahead.
Also supporting other people doing the work.
Mhm.
Deirdre and I were both working on our bills around the same time. Actually, she got hers done faster than mine. And so, literally, when she was about to pull her hair out, she's messaging me, and I'm trying to uplift her. And I did the same thing.
Yeah.
And so, that's what is really, really important about doing this work. Yes.
Thank you for that. And that is so real. So Deirdre, the question for you is, as a woman living with HIV, can you name one major challenge you personally had while working with your state advocates? And what was the one thing that kept you going?
I think Timothy will probably say the same thing. I know we being recorded, so I better keep my professional shine together. It was the ignorance. I'm just gonna go ahead, because y'all know I can't keep it, but so I can't keep that whole mule to myself. It was literally the ignorance of some of the legislators, some of the words that we heard come out of people's mouth that was so stigmatizing, and just some of the way they talked about behavior was so demeaning, as if we were nothing but the scum of the earth, and that we don't deserve any right, we don't deserve any happiness, we don't deserve to really be able to honor and truly have our own body autonomy, where this government is telling us, nope, you can't have a life, and if you're engaging in sex, then sorry, you're going to be criminalized. Oh wait, are you going to get into a fight with someone and you didn't even maybe cause the fight, or even if you did, you just living with HIV, there's no blood transfer, nothing, and you get more of a charge. Or you are doing, again, sex work is freaking work. I don't care what nobody say, it's hard work if you've ever had to do it, and especially if you had to do it and you didn't want to do it with consent. It is work, and it's got a lot going on. And when folks are being criminalized because they're going to work, and while they're doing their work, they're living with the illness, that's a problem. And then to be put on a sex registry because of you're going to work, and you're not able to take care of sometimes your family that are under the age of 18, or even be put in a space or the same category as some other folks that have caused, I mean, not to put, apples and oranges, but, in that space. So, it demeans us, it degraded us, it did a lot. And the whole time, that what kept me going was the person, there we go, I'm trying to be as respectful as can, because I wanted to start with an A and then with an E, that actually created the law that was before ours, and where we decided to step in and create this community law bill. He actually said to me and Cedric, who also is the co-founder of ECHO VA, said to us that we could never get a better law passed than what he had presented, and that this time was the best time to get it done. And he was the only one in the world, while at the same time calling me their favorite pet child. You know, you're my pet project, and you know, oh, my partner was living with HIV, and I never got HIV from him. Okay, well, so there's some circumstances, some things you're going through that some other folk ain't going through. And so when the day that I had, and Cedric is my dear witness, I told the name again with an A and end with an E, and it ain't his real name. Literally told him, I bet you if I could bet you, because you know you can't bet the folks in government, but if I could bet you, I would bet you a Ruth Chris dinner. Let's just say I would order the most expensive steak on that damn menu because we did it. And that's what kept me going, was some other legislator making us feel as community that we could not do as good of a job as an elected official. And we showed him that people power is the way to go. And the folks listened to us and they heard us. And that's what really kept me going.
Yeah, and I would just add to that, Deirdre, that is so powerful. Yes, every bit of what you just said. It's just you run into so much ignorance and so much that they just don't know. I say this kind of tongue in cheek a lot of times when I'm doing a lot of advocacy trainings, that legislators are at best generalists. They really don't know very much. And they really don't, especially about this. And so as advocates, we have to teach them, but then that also puts us in the space of dealing with ignorant bastards, excuse my language, and difficult things like this. But I will tell you, one of the things that I always push back on is whenever they begin using stigmatizing language, or just not behaving appropriately, let me stop you right now. Because what you're going to do, you are going to recognize my humanity. You are going to talk to me like you got some sense. Or we can talk about this later. We're not going to talk about this right now where you're, as Deirdre mentioned, you're treating me like I'm the scum of the earth. People living with HIV are humans, are people. They have feelings, they have lives, they have futures. They are more than their diagnosis.
Exactly.
And so that's what we want to make sure that we center when we are having these conversations with legislators.
So don't go on mute, Timothy, because you might as well answer this last question.
Sure.
So why was it important? And let this be brief. Why was it important for you to not just attend HINAC, but also you hosted it in Alabama and then continued your engagement and advocacy in Illinois? You said some of it already. So,
because there's beauty in our humanity. And I truly, honestly, wholeheartedly believe that. Seeing everybody come to Huntsville, Alabama, many of which had never been to Alabama before, and seeing community being built right in front of my face, and then to see the people go back to their home states and continue that community and building coalitions, that's the reason why I do this. Because again, there's beauty in our humanity and the work that we do, and people living with HIV are beautiful people. And so that's the reason why I did this. And it's so weird because when we hosted it, it literally, I had just found out about HIV criminalization like less than 5 months before Huntsville was named as the host in 2016. So it came really, really quickly, but it has changed my life, and I am forever grateful.
Wow. Thank you, Timothy. So Deirdre, y'all got my heart going. Deirdre, so why was it important for you to not just attend HINAC, but leave there and take the steps you did? So give us a brief, as to why.
honestly, I was a little jealous of, and not only just I, myself, and Cedric, and there was another colleague at our table. And when we have HINEC, we always sit by states. We were kind of a little jealous and feeling left out that everybody else had like 20 people at the table, and it was only 3 of us at Virginia. And we were like, okay, wait a second, something ain't right. And then we started to look at our laws, and then we were like, uh-oh, something still ain't right. What are we going to do? And literally, after that, I think it was the welcoming dinner, that very first one. And then the next day, Cedric and I sat down for lunch. And this is when we created Echo VA. And even the third person, got a bringer in the room, Monica Charleston, she told us, listen, just like Tim, thank you, Tim, because she told us, listen, I'm in my self-care moment right now. Here's what I can do. Here's what I'm willing to do. When y'all need me, you call me, we're there. And both me and Cedric said from the beginning, we were like, we got you. And we have respected her boundaries, and she's come in, she has supported. She too had also had a law that passed the same year that we did as well, that was around sex work and folks being able to get in sex trafficking to get their constitutional rights back. So, that was really what inspired us. And then, following in Timothy's footsteps now, we're going to try to do the same thing in Virginia to bring that same piece and reinvigorate and keep this ball going so that we can have states that are in repeal, that we can help them to monitor, like Illinois and Texas and even in New York and those kind of things, and help to support and build a network of a foundation for us to stop having HIV is not a crime, which I do want to shout out Kamaria Laffrey, co-director of the Sero project, one of the founders of this day. And that is another reason that honestly keeps me going, is because my sister friends, my family, my brothers, and everyone else in between, we are doing this work. We're putting the energy in, and we're celebrating. And on top of that, it's not just one time we're doing it for years. And there's thousands of people getting engaged right now about just today in the last few weeks about HIV is not a crime. And that is freaking, almost said it was freaking phenomenal. And I can't even, I can't control the joy, and I'm gonna stop. You say a brief.
Thank you, Deirdre. But even though I said brief, means you knocked it out the water. You and Timothy knocked this conversation out the water. So as we move on, I have a few more questions, but this is for everyone. These questions are for everyone. So you can come off mute and be brief on these answers for me, so we can have time for Q&A. So we hear a lot of discussion around ending the epidemic. This initiative is just recently including policies like criminalization, being a part of the structural barriers that make this goal a challenge. When we change the laws, what should be the next priority or stimulus priority that will get us closer to reality, ending the new HIV transmissions? Who would like to take that? I'm gonna go to Lashanda. I want to hear what she has to say.
You had to stick me with the big question. You caught me off guard.
Do I need to repeat the question for you?
Please do. I'm sorry.
No, that's not a problem. So we hear a lot of discussions around ending the HIV epidemic. This initiative is just recently including policies like criminalization, being a part of the structural barriers that make the goal a challenge. And it does. When we change the laws, what should be the next priority or stimulus priority that will get us closer to reality, to new HIV transmissions?
I think after the law was passed, you still got to keep working at it, because just because one thing is done, that doesn't mean your fight is over. You can't stop. And I just say this for me, my fight will never end. regardless if Tennessee changes this law or not, my fight is still not, that's still not the end of me.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, that's, you won't see the
Thank
end of me.
You said that. Thank you for that. Sanjay, same question for you. Do I need to repeat the question for you?
Yes.
Okay, so we hear a lot of discussion around ending the HIV epidemic. The initiative is just recently including policies like criminalization, being a part of the structural barriers that make this goal a challenge. So when we change the laws, what should be the next priority of stimulus, priority that will get us closer to really ending new HIV transmission?
Well, the priority is, well, for one, I'm glad that was included just now, far as ending the epidemic was including the policies. Glad someone put that in there now. But the priority should be now is, of course, around the clock still. From now in the future is education, for one, still.
Mm-hmm.
Another priority should be, I would say, the aftermath, like far as support, I would say financially, housing or health, mental health for one. That's a big thing. Those who have been had to register as a sex offender, unfortunately, making sure that retracking those cases or judgments and having those taken off. Because again, we know that sex registry is tied to of course rape or molesting a minor. And you putting someone in HIV in those unfortunate categories, it's not fair, in my opinion. So just backtracking all of those and just this, I think that should be prioritized.
Thank you, Sanjay. So Deirdre and Timothy, I have a different question for you too. So Timothy, as people living with HIV in this work, what has the visibility done for you and how you address stigma and discrimination in your life? Has it helped or made it more complicated?
Woo, I swear you asking me these questions. Let me tell you. I will tell you. I'm glad you mentioned stigma. Stigma is something that I think, to the former question too, we are never going to end the HIV epidemic if we're not talking about stigma, criminalization, discrimination. Period. And so, and all of the tentacles from that, whether that be sex work decriminalization, HIV criminalization, drug decriminalization, all of those different things. And so we need to be very open and honest about that. But specifically for stigma, for me, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I still deal with it. I did, as a person living with HIV for nearly 13 years, and even though I know that there is not a law in Illinois that criminalizes people living with HIV, it's kind of a moment I have to pat myself on the back for. I still know, I know that there's not a law, but I still suffer from the stigma from it. And so it's still there. And so that internalized stigma is something that I still carry. It is something that I am still working with. Obviously, in my job, I am very open about my diagnosis and who I work for. I work for AIDS Foundation Chicago. And so that has actually harmed my social life because people are not comfortable with me being so open about it. And so that's across the bear. However, I think, as Lashanda mentioned, won't stop, ain't gonna stop. This is what I do. And it really centers on, for those of y'all that may be aware of this, in February of 2006, as my mom's baby sister was dying from AIDS-related complications, the last conversation she and I had was she made me promise that I would spend the rest of my life advocating on behalf of people living with HIV. And so, of course, being the dutiful nephew, I said yes. 3 years later, I found out that I'm living with HIV. And so here I am, in all of that glory and humanity. So it's just something that I deal with. That stigma is something that I deal with. I know it's what everyone deals with as people living with HIV, but we persist. We keep going. That's what we do.
Yes, thank you for that, Timothy. Deirdre, you want to be brief on your response?
Yes, ma'am. I love you so much. Oh my goodness, I love you.
Too.
Tana, y'all have, well, I ain't gonna go into detail, but Tana really is one of my inspirations, my mentors, my movement mothers in this work, and just such an honor to always be in community with her. Hence why she always, when I say Tana can tell me what to do at any time and I will listen. So with that, I echo what everybody else has said, the mental health, the stigma, all of that. I would love to have a dating life. One of the things that this has done, I will say, the visibility. If you didn't know, then you will know. I had the distinct pleasure of being on Candy Burris's show last night, Candy Coded Live, she's a person from Escape and also a member of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. And, to put this actual conversation on a much broader national scale. And, it was nerve-wracking. It was nervous because I wanted to make sure to do our community proud. And one of the questions that I was asked was about dating. And I echo what Tim says. I have some friends that don't want to be in the same room if I'm wearing red glasses because they don't want to see anything HIV or, the birds of a feather. They assume because I'm HIV positive, whomever is hanging with me is also HIV positive or what have you. So I would like to entertain a partner, but the biggest catch for me, my partner has to be able to accept not just my flaws and all, but the work that I'm doing and the work that I'm doing this work with, and my friends and my family. Because if you're not going to accept one group of my folk, you're not going to accept the other. So that's kind of a deal breaker for me. If you're not going to accept, especially certain members of community or what have you, or if they've done things, whatever. So I would love to be able to do that and practice some self-care, because a lot of times y'all know that's the HIV person, go to them. And it's just like, no, baby, there's 50 million others of us that work in this lane that do things. And I really want them to have that exposure just like I have. So sometimes if y'all call me and I say no, I'm going to give you another name of somebody else because they too have that perfect expertise as I do. So that's the dating life, and some just being able to be a regular person and walk down the street. But then again, it is kind of weird when somebody you don't even know is not a part of community. Oh my God, it's Deirdre Speaks. You're like who are you? You're talking about me. So that part, some of the recognition is amazing, because I will say that those of us that do this work, we don't get a lot of recognition. This is a thankless job, but to be able to get recognition, but to also share the wealth of that recognition is the most important part for me.
Thank you for that. And I have to say, this is the end of our discussion, but I will like to say
Tana.
this. Y'all, no.
Tana, sorry to interrupt.
Special report.
I have a special report. This just in, there are resources that are available to anybody year round. Give me 1 second, I'll bring it up here. So just so you know, we have these resources that are live and available for you to join in on HINAC Day every year, every day of the year, until HIV is actually not a crime. We have the Sero Project Justice Institute Toolkit that Tana and Deirdre and some other advocates helped put together last year, and we'll be updating that later on this year. And then we also have our two HINAC Day toolkits. One is in English and one is in Spanish. So we hope that you use these resources to let everyone know that HIV is not a crime year-round.
Yes, thank you, Eric. So I think there is another slide, isn't there?
There is.
So, call to action, y'all. What can you do to join the movement? The next one. So, join the movement. Commit to educating at least 2 people about HIV criminalization. Join your state coalition. If you don't have one, believe me, you can start one. Attend HINAC is not a crime, a training academy, June 4th through the 7th in Emory, Virginia. Woo, woo, Virginia! So sign up for HIV for Health Not Prisons collective newsletter. Share the advocacy toolkit and use the HIV is not a crime or a HINAC Day. So I will turn this back over to Eric. But as we, no, I won't turn it back over to Eric. I want to give everybody a few minutes if you have any questions for our panelists. But I want to say to all the panelists, you all rock. Y'all educated me tonight. Y'all gave me some things that I can use here in Texas. So, and I give great kudos, because if you want to make a change, we got to be that change. And y'all educating us and community is where we start. So any questions? Do we have some in the chat box?
So if you have any questions for our panelists or for myself or Tana, you can drop them in the Q&A function, or you can just drop them in the comment section and we'll be sure to address them. Questions?
But I want to say this, y'all. I am a SPIJ graduate last year, 2022. So when the next cohort sign gets ready to start, put in those applications and join the Institute.
I'm glad you brought that up. And also, if you are a member, if you are in Texas, if you are in Virginia, if you are in Pennsylvania and South Carolina, we have a Health Not Prisons activity that is happening. We are looking for new advocates. Did I say Virginia? And if I did, I'd have messed up. Okay, I better not. If I forgot Virginia, my Lord Jesus, help me on today. Please make sure that you you apply so that you can become an amazing advocate. I mean, not that you aren't already, but you will also be able to get this amazing trainings that Lashanda has been talking about, Tana has been talking about. So please apply. Make sure you get on in.
Hey, and don't fit. Go ahead, Lashanda.
Yes, what I wanted to say, especially what Deirdre said, you know, in those states, come out and be an advocate. You know, on this journey, not only is it fun and amazing and you're meeting new people, I can't describe the fun that I've had as an advocate, meeting the new people. Most of the people on here is my support system and my backbone. Deirdre, Tammy, Kamaria, I just met Cindy. You know, come and be part of it. It's just exciting. You're not fighting alone. Come on, we're here.
No, we are not alone. You're not alone. And remember one thing, when it comes to criminalization, we fighting for liberation. Straight up. We fighting for straight up liberation. That's what we are fighting for. We are fighting for everyone to have the right, the dignity to live life on life terms, on my terms, not anybody else's terms, not the laws, not anybody, my terms. So I will turn this over to Eric, and it has been an amazing being with y'all tonight. Go ahead, Eric.
So we have a question. Can anyone on the panel share a memorable conversation where you were able to win the support of someone you didn't expect, like a family member, community member, legislator, whatever? This person is still struggling with trying to bring this particular conversation to their own family. So can anyone speak on that?
I went in 2022, I went to the Day on the Hill. Never been there before, didn't know what I was getting myself into. And, you know, I'm thinking all of the legislative, they know about the laws that are on the books. But what I did not know is when I went there and gave my story, being criminalized for criminal exposure to HIV, the gentleman that I spoke with, he did not even know that was a law. But he got behind me and he still supports me and asks about me to this day. And I know with his help and others, we can do this. We can. Now I'm gonna shut my mouth for today. I done did too much.
Does anybody else have a memorable conversation that you won the hearts and minds of someone that you didn't think you could?
I think for me, it was literally, if you were in this situation, how would you feel and what would you do? And it was just, or, you know, if this was, if this was your child or, you know, your niece, your nephew, your grandchild, and just literally kind of throwing the ball in their court and having them to walk a moment in our shoes was probably, you know, the most impactful. And then, well, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. But just, yeah.
Thank you so much, Deirdre. So, Tana, are we ready to wrap up?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
So I want you to remember, everyone, that HIV is not a crime is June 4th through the 7th in Emory, Virginia. If you don't know where a coalition is in your state, find somebody, hook up with Sero, reach out to Deirdre, Eric, Tammy, Cindy, anyone, and even myself, if you need to find a coalition. But also SBIJ y'all third round to be coming, so y'all need to apply for it. We are a family. This is a family affair, but I want to say to each and everyone, thank you for your bravery. It is not always easy to tell stories, but you're educating me and everyone else. And I want to tell y'all, get some self-care, some love, because we are in it to win it. And thank y'all and have a very blessed evening. And thanks for joining.
Everyone. Thank you to Livia for providing our language justice. And thank you to all of our panelists. We really appreciate each and every one of you. And thank you to our audience.
Yes, thank you all.
Yes. And Tana,
And you will
did
get some
that.
earrings. Lashanda, we'll get you some earrings, love.